It is with great pleasure that I give a bit of an update on what the Compassionate Resource Warehouse has been doing for the past year. It is actually almost a year since we were all celebrating and looking forward to and working together on our 500th container. And it was an amazing day that we were shared by many of our church family, many of our donors, our other regular volunteers, and just people who just stopped by. It was a fabulous day with many people. The load was going specifically for 300 Iraqi and Syrian Christian families that had been refugees in Jordan. And the Iraqi ones were actually from the plains of Nineveh. But they were declined the opportunity of going back home and resettling. And this was just a way to help them and set them up. And so we were able to send and set up a school and set up a teaching center and a clinic and a carpentry shop. And one of the things that was exciting is we were able to send 50 bikes. And those bikes, there was 50 men who had been under COVID restrictions for 4 months, and on World Refugee Day had the opportunity of going and riding for the first time in the desert. And there they had celebration, and they had a feast, and they had a time of praising the Lord for this time of freedom for this day, and just reminding them what normal life was like. We were also able to set up a mosaic school, and those who had been persecuted for their faith and are wearing the scars of disability in their bodies have been able to be trained into mosaics, and they're creating amazing jewelry that now is being sold online, and this is allowing them to support their family. Just truly amazing what has been done. COVID restrictions are still there, and so there's still lots of work to be done, but they are just pacing it out, and for that we're very, very grateful. We had a container over to Ethiopia, and again people said it can't get there, and we were able to send a 40-foot container of Gleaners food, and it has arrived, and it is ministering to so many different people. There's the Somalia refugees, there is Eritrea refugees, there are internal ones, and they're all just being fed and shared, and the love of Jesus is being shared. One of the special groups is, there is a group of pastors who are underground, and they are being persecuted for their faith, and of course they cannot work, but they need to be fed. And this food just keeps on giving, and they come and they get their food, they get some wonderful sharing and companionship, and then they go back out into the desert, and the Church of Jesus Christ is exploding in that area. And for that, we just truly give God all the glory. Our Mozambique shipment that we were all part of, and you were part of to help send, well, COVID delayed things. COVID has been a challenge all over the world, and COVID delayed the shipment. They finally were able to unload it and just lock it up. And then after a period of a couple of months, the government itself gave them permission to go out and do a few weekend deliveries of food and clothing and boots and resources with their permission and with their protection. And then they would come back, and then they would be given another opportunity for doing that. But one of the comments, they said that if the container had arrived on time, the food would be gone. But because the container was late, and because of COVID, they've been able to continually feed the people long past where normal distribution time would be. But during that time, they were able to also have a tool bank for the garden tools, and so they were able to produce gardens all the last few months. And of course now it's cyclone season again, and so they again are grateful for the stuff that has been left that has not been distributed. The government is giving them permission to go out and redistribute in the needy areas. So God's timing is really amazing, even when sometimes we don't think it is. Our Zimbabwe, there's a container there just to show you what it looked like when it left and when it opened. And Zimbabwe's been another challenge. Again, it was delayed, and again, God's timing is truly amazing. Because of COVID, a lot of the teams could not go and help, and but the local people have come up, and they have engaged in the projects, and they have finished the completion of the schools, the clinics, the skill development centers, and then they decided themselves that they would take these skills and any extra resources and go to other villages and teach and train them with the skills that they were taught. Not for money, but because they feel that the Lord has asked them to go. And so there's 5 other villages that are being impacted from the container that we only thought would impact 1. God has plans for absolutely everything. Our Côte d'Ivoire shipment, again, has been hit by COVID. It's been in the port now for 5 months, waiting, and they've had some civil unrest, change of government, change of plans. Hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks, they have been told they will be able to clear. This container is going to an inner city clinic and an inner city school, and they can hardly wait until it arrives, and then they will be able to use the resources and set up a proper birthing center and a maternal health in an area that is very high risk for moms and babes, and just to give good education to kids who in that country don't matter because they are at high risk. So again, the Lord has got his plans, and we look forward to what he's going to be doing with that. Some of you have heard about our Lebanon container. It was in the port when the port blew. And so we still have not heard. They still are finding containers that were not destroyed because they scattered some of the containers. We still haven't heard, but we are still believing and hoping that the Lord will resurrect that container. And there was just too many miracle things that happened on that for us not to have faith and keep believing. Right after our 500th shipment, we were able to load a container the next week for Zambia, and then very quickly everything closed. Not only church closed, but the warehouse closed. And so we had to work through new protocols and new loading procedures, but the Lord has been gracious. And we were able to pass our inspection and to have working days safely, donations safely. And we have come up with new things. The Lord graciously gave us an electric pallet jack just before we needed to come up with some new protocols. We've got new box deliveries. We've got new shoebox deliveries. And you know, the Lord provides enough every day. Instead of all having a good time and a lot of us all arriving at once and moving everything at once into the container, we've had to pre-pack pallets. So that means there's the constant delivery and supply of stuff that needs to be packed very specifically into different pallets. So there's a lot of work. But our team has responded, and so we are now loading pallet by pallet with just topping of it, so there's very little time left in the container. Just as full, just loaded a little bit different. So we thank the Lord for his creative people, his creative ideas, his safety, and it truly is amazing that we were able to send another 9 containers last year in a period of 6 months with all the COVID restrictions. So for that, we're grateful. One of the things we do want to say a very special thanks to Victoria First Church of the Nazarene for the very gracious and generous gift of 831 Devonshire. Last fall, the church membership passed the transfer of the property, and late December the title transfer for Devonshire was transferred from Victoria First Church of the Nazarene into the Compassionate Resource Warehouse. It is an amazing gift, and we just want to say thank you. This does not, absolutely does not stop us in our partnership. It does not stop us working together at all. It just enhances, and it will help us continue to just work together and partner to bring and do what the Lord has called us to do. And that is not only to be the hands and feet of Jesus here locally or nationally, but is to be the hands and feet of Jesus overseas. And the gifts that you give for our local projects and our local ministries, as well as the ministries overseas, provide people opportunity of showing love and concern, and gives people an opportunity of sharing Jesus. Did you know Jesus can be shared over a pair of socks downtown Victoria, or he can be shared overseas with a pair of socks? And the Lord has brought in those socks for a reason, and He knows where they're going. And the impact of a pair of socks, locally or overseas, is for His honor and His glory. And that's who we are. So thank you again for your prayers. We so appreciate them. We appreciate your continuous support, your donations, your phone calls, your emails. And together, we will look forward to seeing what the Lord has for 2021. To God be the glory.